Hi everyone, Mighty Max here with Rhyme Signatures, the nerdiest music review this side of being that 90s retro throwback you'd nearly forgotten about. And today we're going to be doing a review of the new Rannoch album, Conflagrations. I love death metal. I really, truly, unashamedly do. But there is a small caveat to this. I am an extraordinarily picky person with my deathy stuff. I don't just settle for any common or garden growling or generic-ass blast beats. No, I am a connoisseur of the finest death-based arts. It takes a very special kind of record within the angriest of genres to hold my attention, so I like to think that if I tell you I'm currently obsessed with a death metal album, then you know it's gonna be a good one. There is, of course, one surefire way, though, to ensure that your death metal album is immediately more appealing to me, and that's to run it through the progifier. Add some weird time signatures, some funky instrumentation, breaks in the violence for brief reprieves, etc, etc. And what UK-based Rannoch have done is precisely that. They've crafted not only one of the best death metal albums of 2023, but they've added just the right amount of progressive structuring and sensibilities to keep this interesting for those whose tastes stop at the doors of Ghost Reveries or Watershed as far as their appetites go for this kind of music. Make no mistake though, this is not an Opeth clone by any stretch of the imagination. This is more death prog than prog death. But the elements are there. What makes this record, this band, special is how much Rannoch also flirts with bands like Gojira, Meshuggah, Rivers of Nihil, Black Crown Initiate, Fallujah. Take your pick of the current cream of the crop of the genre. Rannoch deserve to be mentioned in the same breath, as this record is doing things for me that the aforementioned bands have all managed at the height of their powers. So, some quick background. This is not the band's first rodeo. Conflagrations is the band's third album, but this is my first time with them. And oh, look at that, it's from Willowtip Records, my current favourite label and supreme darlings of the more extreme side of progressive music in recent years. It was actually the hype I was getting on social media from label mates the Anchoret, who are still kicking my ass with their debut record, by the way, that brought this album to my attention. So big thanks to them for that, as man, what a rush this record is. I've been having an absolutely amazing time with Conflagrations. So what's the big pull? What makes this, stand out from the dozens of other entries in this already stacked year? Honestly, it's just how tight this record feels, how perfectly executed each and every one of its 52 minutes feels. Nothing is wasted and everything feels deliberate and focused. It's not that often that I get to listen to an album that feels this lean and purposeful, and it makes Conflagrations a delight to experience again and again and again. The record kicks off with Degenerate Era, a nice 3-minute long atmospheric introductory track, serving its purpose admirably of preparing you for the record that's coming. It's fairly typical these days, especially within progressive music, to have a fluffer to start the album, so I'm docking some points here for a lack of originality, but honestly, it's fine. There are certainly worse ways to kickstart the album, and it does serve very well as an efficient way of guiding you into the first big track of Prism Black. Now this is where things get interesting. A nice big 8.5 minute long balls to the wall face pounding from a band that have shed any pretense of niceties and are now switching up focus to grabbing you roughly by the lapel and throwing you around the room, your health and safety be damned. I love this track. It's big, powerful, angry and exacting. It knows precisely what it's doing, and it's having a blast doing it. The gruff and commanding growled vocals from Ian Gillings remind me a lot of Meshuggah's Jens Kidman, but with a bit more melody and flair to them, rather than as trying to be the angriest man in the room purely for the sake of it. Gillings is backed up by his bandmates Richard Page on guitars, Paul Lloyd on bass, and Dan Presland on drums. Yes, this is that Dan Presland. Dan used to be in Near Bliviscaris Presland. And boy oh boy has this man not missed a beat. Presland is an absolute powerhouse on the skins and continues to demonstrate here that he is amongst the best drummers in the world, and he serves as an incredible fit into Rannoch's sound. The record moves on nicely into Threads, the shortest non-atmospheric track on the album, and it's a punchy, demanding and immediate song that honestly makes me think of kind of late-game strapping young lad at times. There's something about the violent machine gun riffs, the relentless bass and drums, and even the vocal delivery at times that gives me pause to think of some of the more savage tracks on Alien and The New Black. It's a great song, but from here on out is where Rannoch really show themselves off as a prog band through and through. The band applies the brakes hard as we move into the title track of Conflagrations, and man, the spacey, ethereal soundscapes that they start playing with here are absolutely divine. This is how you heel turn and smack the listener with an unexpected haymaker. This is a brilliant piece of music that really made me stop and smell the roses. And let me tell you, these flowers smell of blood and perfume in equal measure. The massive booming drums coupled with the slow, deliberate guitar work and haunting textured synths across the opening few minutes make for an unforgettable experience. But then, bam, we're back, drowning under the ice, crushed under the weight of 1,000 tons of bleak despair. It's absolutely incredible and one of my favourite segues on the album. But Rannoch still isn't messing around as the album just keeps on getting better. Fifth track, Daguerreotype, slings you violently towards the goddamn moon and liberally beats the snot out of you with a sustained machine gun drum assault underneath some incredibly hostile lyrics and squealing guitars. It's a huge, powerful gunshot of a track, and the back half of it features some of the most grin-inducing riffing I've heard in 2023 so far. The solos are sublime, the melody's infectious, and if you walk away from this album with one memory, it's likely to be how goddamn cool the final few minutes of this track are. Now we get into the major league territories for progginess though, as penultimate track Earth Recycle mostly serves as a 3.5 minute long intro into the final chapter of the record. It's a great way of settling your nerves though after the relentless daguerreotype, but also showcases the amount of restraint and compositional softness that the band are clearly capable of. It's swirling and relaxed, but then it pulls back the curtain just in time to catapult you into the 17-minute monster of Threnody to a Dying Star. Now, if I had a nickel for every time a prog band in 2023 released a song that started with the word Threnody and implied the death or dying of something, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. Threnody to a Dying Star is the absolute standout showpiece of the album, crowns the band with the accolade of prog death metal above everything else, and is hands down one of my favourite songs of the year. It starts off as a big, slow, burning, expansive movement, Gilling's thick and warming clean vocals setting the scene beautifully. The repeated musical runs are melodically infectious and lyrically fantastic, but it's what the song does in the interim moments as we move through its considerable length that makes this one such a treat. Rannoch have made a song that's equal measures prog and death. Whereas some moments on this album are brazenly one or the other, Threnody manages to complete the blend perfectly, starting things off ever so gently with some really fantastic sounding melodic and clean musicality, but then plunging into the depths of filth and depravity with some of the nastiest sounding guitars and drums you're likely to hear this year. There's so much to appreciate across the track's runtime that it's honestly hard to point you to my favourite parts, but the guitar is such a star on this song. The sheer depth of style, tone and creativity that can be found on this track just makes everyone else look like they're trying to play keep up. The song closes out with one of the most climactic, triumphant sounding sections on the album, with the riff machine closing us off as everything fades into the distance. And frankly, I'm left feeling somewhat speechless every single time. It's pure magic, and never fails to leave me gagging for more. I really don't have very much to complain about on this album. Rannoch have crafted one of the most perfectly executed death metal records in years. Since listening to this record as well, I've been, checking out their first 2 albums on the side, but this feels like a whole other level from those, and I can confidently call this the new standard that the band have set themselves. Who's to say what the push was? Maybe it was Dan Presland. I don't know. But whatever Rannoch did to prepare for this album, I sincerely hope this isn't the last we see of them at this level. So what else can I say about Rannoch's Conflagrations? I know I've been getting on the excitement train with a lot of records lately, and you might be thinking, if everything's super, then nothing is. But that's honestly because I like to reserve talking about records that I think you'll love, and I want you to walk away from my reviews wanting to check this stuff out. Don't get me wrong, I've listened to plenty of duds and stinkers this year, you just haven't heard about them, but I want to show off the good stuff, Conflagrations is most assuredly the good stuff. And while I can't see those who aren't really into the death side of prog getting as much out of this as I have done, I do still feel there's a lot to enjoy on this album for any prog fan, especially from the title track up until that fade out on Threnody to a Dying Star. Recommendation is absolutely to get this in physical format. Willowtip are killing it this year, and I for one am delighted to continue supporting their good decisions for band signings, and it really will be hard to do better than this one in 2023, at least as far as progressive death metal is concerned. This is all, of course, my opinion, as you know, guys, so if you have listened to this record, please tell me what you thought about it in the comments down below. If you did like this video, please do share it around with anyone else you would think would enjoy it, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for more content. I will leave my link tree down below, where you will find me in all sorts of places to find, on social media and whatnot, as well as a link to my Ko-fi page if you're feeling generous and want to help support the channel. And until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures very odd.